In this lesson, we're going to do away with all the complicated stuff and get away with something easy. Now, a contact shadow is a trick that belongs in the world of primitive full motion video in computer games, etc. But it's something you can get away with in a scene like this because we have a couple of still objects, we have very clear reference, and we have a 3D object that, while we could get a 3D shadow out of it, we may actually be able to do better just by creating it right in After Effects. Let's give it a try. So because I don't like to do any form of roto or masking in a course that's not about roto or masking, I've pre-created a shape. Let me just unhide that. And it's been tracked in, or rather it's parented to a track layer. So that's all been done. Notice that it's offset to match the light direction that I see in the reference. So this could hardly be easier. I have a perfect reference right here. All I have to do is match it. And I turn it on and boom, it looks perfect. Okay, not quite. Let's feather out this shadow a little bit to match the softness. The feathering is mimicking light diffusion. Now, this diffusion occurs just because of light actually getting in under the board. My shadow right now is too dark to match the one in the scene, and I'll deal with that in a moment. But let's just say that to start with, I have roughly the same thing going on up here where it's more of a solid shadow underneath and more diffuse toward the edges. The wheels aren't going to be as diffuse, the wheel shadows that is, because there's not as much room for light to get in under those wheels. So let's just give them a more modest amount of feather for that diffusion. Now, the lazy man's way to finish this is just to adjust opacity. And honestly, we could do that here. I could just ramp the opacity down until in the info panel I matched these shadow levels back here. And the reason I could do that is that this is a very monochromatic shadow. It's basically a semi-transparent black shadow. But I like to teach best practices, so I'm going to make it an adjustment layer, and I'm going to apply the levels effect here. And to create a shadow in this case, I'm just going to pull down on output white, kind of dial that in. I can eyeball it, but I can also just get reference and see that, yeah, we're in the neighborhood. Notice there's a little bit more red in the shadows in this scene, but you can see that happening over here as well. So we're pretty good with just the ambient light levels that are right there in the scene. Can hide that and take a look at the result. We don't have to worry about grain with an adjustment layer because all we're doing is adjusting it. We're not getting rid of it. So all in all, this lesson shows you how if you have perfect reference right in the scene, you should have no difficulty creating a contact shadow to save time and dial in the result perfectly right in After Effects.